by a member of Palestine Action, Saeed Farouky. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. What is your reflection on the possibility of being proscribed?
Good morning. I think it's completely irrational, without precedent. I mean, it's a knee-jerk reaction from the government. And it seems like they're trying to rush through this legislation based on the fact that Palestine Action was able to humiliate them and show serious flaws in the defenses of the RAF base itself.
Do you, there's so much to unpack here. I guess first question, or second question, do you regret the action by your members at RAF Brize Norton or not?
Not at all. Look, we're in the middle of one of the most widely documented genocides, not only in my lifetime, but in history. The British people have made it absolutely clear that they won't accept the government's role in the genocide, the government's role in supporting Israel. And the only way that the British people have found to stop it is to be directly involved in breaking the material chain. This is what was necessary.
I guess, you know, you can't speak definitively for the British people, but would peaceful action that didn't involve law breaking, let alone at a military base, have been more effective?
That's been tried. It's been tried. Look, I've been a campaigner and an activist for 30+ years. I've tried every method that I'm sure you would suggest. I've tried every method that the courts and the government suggest. And we've ended up in a situation with one of the worst genocides of my lifetime, the worst situation for the Palestinians since the Nakba of 1948. So the line at which we may have tried various forms of other protests has been crossed a year and 8 months ago when this phase of the genocide started and when Britain's involvement in this genocide started. So it's clear to the British people that there's absolutely no choice anymore but to be directly involved.
Yeah. Of course, the Israeli government would deny a genocide taking place, something we're going to discuss with the ambassador to the UK from Israel at 9:30. And
the perpetrators of genocide have always denied their involvement in genocide, of course.
Well, that is not proof of it. But again, I will discuss that with the Israeli ambassador later. Just wanted to press more on, I guess, the effectiveness of the tactics is perhaps not the key point at hand, but I think it's relevant, which is you're saying the British people are united with you, which I don't think is proven. I think that when you take some action, sometimes it does bring people alongside, sometimes it actually alienates people. And again, I ask whether you think crossing that line of legality versus illegality, and on an area of such importance, you know, a base that is there to protect our security, whether in fact you would alienate people from your cause as opposed to unite them.
Well, first I would question how effective the RAF is at defending our security if they can't even defend their own base. Secondly, a majority of the British people already favor the idea of an arms embargo. The government has absolutely no interest in an arms embargo against Israel. Whether the majority of the British people support Palestine Action, we know that there are tens of thousands of supporters. Every time there's a Palestine action, there are thousands of people on the street. As you know, today there's a demonstration in London planned in which thousands of people are expected to attend. But at the end of the day, the truth is Palestine Action is not in the business of convincing all of the British public of the righteousness of their tactics. Palestine Action is in the business of materially breaking the supply chain to genocide. And we know, look, Palestine Action is inspired by a very long tradition of direct action, a very long tradition of civil disobedience, a very long tradition and proud tradition in this country. We know that in the moment when these movements that we now consider heroes are operating, they're very often maligned by the government, they're very often maligned by the press, and they're very often maligned even by the public. But history proves that they were on the right side because this is one of the only groups in the country that's doing anything to materially end the genocide of the Palestinian people.
Well, I mean, history sometimes proves that, and I guess what you just said is contrary to your earlier point that you think the British people are already united behind your cause. But again, I'll discuss the particular cause with the Israeli ambassador later. I guess my point comes back to whether, right or wrong, if the government proscribes you, what it leads to next, and what you expect to happen next. Would it be a huge swathe of your members being arrested?
Well, the group hasn't been proscribed yet. So far, the tactics and strategies of Palestine Action remain the same. If it is prescribed, of course, the group will decide what to do then, but I can't speculate at this point what the plans are. Obviously, it's something that concerns Palestine Action, but I think it should also concern everyone, including journalists, because if it's prescribed, I mean, not only is it an absurd proposal, it would put Palestine Action, which is a Britain-based, civil society-based direct action group, it would put them on a list of people like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which is totally irrational, no sense whatsoever. But it's also being rushed through Parliament extremely quickly.
10 seconds.
These usually take months.
Saeed Farouky, thanks so much. I'm sorry that we are out of time.